Hey everyone, welcome back to AFTV. We've got some Arsenal news to chat about. Really news that kind of broke across yesterday, but we've got a lot of stuff coming on the channel you're going to see later today and across the weekend. So we thought we'd take this kind of Friday lunchtime. It's a nice time.
Yeah, it is.
It's a nice time to catch up on some not so nice stuff, really, especially this first bit. I think we're all still feeling a little bit the kind of hangover from this Aubameyang leaving the club. There were some quotes, we're going to go into them. I think, and I'm going to say this now, I think it's been a little, I don't want to say misquoted, but there's a little maybe confusion around quite what he said, how he put it, whatever. But the point applies. He's basically saying that Mikel Arteta and his relationship with Arteta is the reason why he ultimately left Arsenal. Yeah. We'll go into it in a sec. Just very quickly, how are you, Cecil?
I'm very good. Glad to be here.
How are you feeling about all this kind of stuff? Is it still kind of festering a little bit?
Yeah, it is kind of the overspill from the January window. The disappointment of it is kind of carried on now into this Aubameyang development, and it has having a bit of an effect on me because I liked Aubameyang a lot as a person, as a player. There's a video soon to release on AFTV, which I think will be received very nicely. I know some people, we did ask the question, how will he be remembered? And we spoke to many fans, we gave our opinions and whatnot, and it just really was highlighting many great moments of Aubameyang, and that's what I kind of remember him for. And it's a shame that this is kind of the way it was ended. It seems to be becoming a bit of a trend with Arsenal players leaving in a negative way. But I'm excited to kind of get into this story, if I'm completely honest, because from a player's perspective, I know so much goes on behind closed doors that we never see the light of day as a fan. We'll never get to hear the full story of what actually happened. And it was interesting to see what he said in this once after leaving Arsenal to the Barcelona on his signing day. It was interesting to hear how he described the situation and his thoughts towards Mikel Arteta. But like I said, being a player, you don't get to see and hear everything. A lot of things stay behind closed doors. As a footballer, you see, your teammates and your managers and your staff more than your family. Like, it's an everyday thing. Things happen, bust-ups happen, arguments happen, club can cover things up, some things slip out. And I think Aubameyang here, when he highlights it's just Arteta, we can unpack it. We can really unpack it. I'm gonna obviously pass it over to you and just get into obviously what he said. But it'd be yeah.
He said, so this is some of the quotes that are going around on social media. He says, "My last few months at Arsenal were complicated. That's football sometimes. For my part, I never wanted to do anything wrong. My problem was only with Arteta." Now that's the key point. Yeah. My problem was only with Arteta. I can't say much more. I wasn't happy. So that's what was doing the rounds on social media. I had a little look at what other news outlets have had to say. Asking if so basically Aubameyang was obviously stripped of the captaincy in December. He's joined Barcelona. He didn't play since the stripping of the captaincy. And he was quoted as saying, "I think it was a problem just with him." And obviously the implication is Arteta. "He made the decision. I can't say much more. He wasn't happy. I stayed very calm, and that's it." So there's a slight difference between saying my problem was with Arteta and saying I think it was just a problem with him. Because obviously if he's been directly asked about it, he's gonna have to answer it a little bit. Yeah. So I want to kind of be fair to Aubameyang in this situation. I don't think this is a case of player leaves and he's trying to kick up a storm. And I think that's what a lot of the reaction can sometimes be on social media when they see these quotes go viral. They think, your first chance, you're trying to have a prod. I don't really think that's what's happening. I think he was always going to be asked questions by the media, and I think he's come. I actually think that was maybe more his way of going, I still love the club and the fans and a lot of my teammates. So it wasn't anything to do with playing for Arsenal. It was about the manager and the relationship there. Is any of this surprising? Is this a non-story,
yes.
or is it just
no?
Really?
It's surprising in the sense that for me, because I've heard flutters and whispers about the board might have chosen to frozen out Aubameyang, like high wages, not performing, and they didn't want to have an example of what happened with Ozil. So some people were saying the board made a decision that they want him to tell Arteta. The board have said gone to Arteta and said, listen, look, we don't want him playing and whatnot. And that's some things I've heard. So that is why hearing it from Bang saying no, it is solely on Arteta, is where I kind of feel, what's gone on there? But there's also another factor to it that, okay, if you've frozen out, if it's just Arteta and there's been a bust up or there's been something that doesn't sit right, when you're in a dressing room, right, as a young player, or even, let's go to Lacazette, his friend, if he's seen that Arteta's mistreated Aubameyang, then you'd think, you know, the players wouldn't play for Arteta. But when Aubameyang was out of the side, and this is not more onto his side, but when he wasn't playing, the team did continue playing really well. The youngsters were playing really well. Lacazette stepped in, done really well as well. So it's a very interesting statement and a very interesting story, because I don't know whether, and I love Aubameyang, but what really went on? I think him being late twice, for me, that can justify losing the captaincy, but to be exiled out and train separately and not go on, you know, away to Dubai and whatnot, I think that's too far. So I'm assuming there's more that's gone on there.
Unless with Dubai, they felt that the move was on, you know, we hear about these things late, but this could have been a potential move for him for a long time.
But then they came out and said that they were surprised to know that Aubameyang was over in Barcelona. So
But maybe they were surprised that he'd actually flown out, but maybe the deal was always a possibility, so they didn't get him to Dubai. You know, it's a difficult one, because so much is kept from us till late. Let's add to the quotes. He said, "It's true that they were complicated months, and I think football has these things sometimes, but if I have to say something about this topic, it is that I never want to do anything wrong on my part, but I think this is the past and I want to think about the present." Completely understand. He goes on to say that he's mentally ready, clear head, as he joins Barcelona. He's spoken to Xavi and says that he says if Xavi wants me to play centre forward, he will. If he wants him to play on the wings, that's no problem at all. So, you know, he's going to give his all to Barcelona. I think he's got quite a few more years of football in him. At the kind of highest level, let's say.
It's a good move. It's a good move.
It's a great move.
At 32 years old,
he's moving
from Arsenal.
Moving. Oh my God, that's a bad word. He's moved. Bloody hell. That's when you know it's the end of the week. He's moved to one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's an extraordinary move for him. I'm really happy. Wearing number 25 though. I mean, surely that was a better number for him, but maybe there's a reason. Signed his contract till 2025. Could it be that? I don't know.
Oh, maybe that might have some relation to it. 25 is a good number anyway. I think 25 is a good number.
What number are you? I've seen
55. I know.
55.
My squad number when I was playing was 21.
Right.
But now that I've left playing and I play Sunday League or whatever, 55, because I like that.
Fair enough. That's
not my age. Yeah, that's not my age.
Yeah, that's not your age. That's not when your contract expires. 55. Where this gets a little interesting for me when you look at the dynamics of, was this just a falling out with Arteta? I know that there's been speculation among Arsenal fans, amongst us in the conversations here. Was he promised something that he didn't? Yeah, when he signed that contract, I remember thinking to myself, there's no way he signed without being promised that Arsenal were going to invest, we're going to bring players in, we're going to go big in the window. We're going to give him a team that could compete. That's what he wanted. He wanted to compete for trophies with Arsenal. Is there anything on that side of thing? Could you bring the Cronkies into this? Could you bring Edu into this? Is this just an Arteta thing? Is this as simple as Aubameyang was late on a few occasions and got a few things wrong when it comes to discipline? Arteta over-disciplined him, falling out, he left. Is it really as simple as that? I don't believe it is personally.
I don't think so. I think I was doing obviously some research for the Aubameyang video that's soon going to drop, and last year Vinay released a statement saying about, we know where this club should be. It was a very flattering statement, like, we know where it should be, we should be challenging for the major trophies. Two of the most important trophies are the Premier League and the Champions League, and we should be there and in that conversation. And it was, like I said, it was a very flattering statement. This was literally last year. And that was what I'm sure would have been promised when Aubameyang, it was around the time Aubameyang was supposed to sign the Ting as well. So he probably would have been promised that, and I'm assuming that was definitely in the conversation. I mean, they promised Willian that will get the Champions League or compete in the next 3 years when he signs. So yes, James, I think that there's a side of that where he might have had false promises. But again, this is football. You can't. I think Aubameyang would have some sort of common sense, not to bash him like that, but like to think that, you know, things happen in football. We can't guarantee this. We can offer it and say this is where we want to be, but it's not a guarantee. I think there's that side to it. And I also think when you just said there, is it just the too lates and maybe some disciplinary actions that, you know, that ended this story of Aubameyang this way? I don't think so personally. I think there might be more to this story. And I generally believe that. I go back to what I said, like, there's so much that goes on day to day in football. Like, you see these people all the time. There's bust-ups, there's arguments. That happens. You see them more than your family. So, but whether it all comes to light, it doesn't always happen. So I think there was more to the story. I don't think I understand being late to North London Derby back in March. That was bad from him. I'm going to be honest. That's for me, as if I was a manager as well, wouldn't be acceptable. But the second story was, I believe he flew back a day later, even though he said he'll be back on a Tuesday. I believe he came back on the Wednesday morning. That doesn't, for me, that's not granted enough to say you need to have your captaincy stripped and be exiled out of the club. For me, there has to be more to it. I think that's ridiculous. In my opinion, and it can kill a player's confidence.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the comments here. Imran's come in and already answered a question. This is what I like doing these shows. I genuinely learn from them. Imran, I've lost the comment here, but basically said that La Liga basically requires that you fill the first 25 numbers, I think, which is why he was given the number 25.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, here we go, Imran. Auba got 25 because La Liga requires you fill the first 25 numbers before using any other number higher than that. Fair enough. Dar asking, Arteta seems to struggle to manage big players. That's been a bit of a theme, hasn't it? Where people are saying, you know, you look at Guendouzi's kind of personality. We kind of knew a little bit what he was like, but very quickly out the door. Mesut Ozil, we don't see, once after lockdown and Project Restart and all that, we didn't see him once. Off he goes. We're now seeing it with Aubameyang. Saliba, we're hearing, is meant to come back and play, but it's a question I've asked actually on the Forever Arsenal podcast. Are we backing the right guy? And I think Arteta's done some great stuff for the culture of the club and the, let's say, I don't want to say man management, but kind of the players look happy. The players are playing for him. When things are going right or wrong, the players are always giving their all. Now that might be the nature of just having a young team that are just also very excited to be playing for Arsenal, happy to be playing for Arsenal, and I don't want to be rude, but maybe don't know any better. Let's say when you've got Aubameyang and Ozil who've played for big managers, maybe they've got a different take on it. I don't know. I just wonder. It's big of the club to back Mikel in this, and with all these decisions, big investment, Ozil on big money, Aubameyang on big money, Guendouzi, a real prospect whose value crumbled after the Arteta stuff. I'm not saying that's Arteta's fault, but we've backed the manager over these guys. It's interesting.
It's a really tough one, this man management question, because there's literally two sides, and for me they're 50-50. Like you mentioned there, the youngsters, of course they're going to be excited. Like they're playing for Arsenal Football Club, so is that very well man managed? I don't know. That's one side to it. But then you look at the likes of, you said Guendouzi, you said I think the Torreira Saliba situation, but even the likes of Pepe, like getting the best out of Pepe, I think that takes good man management, and Arteta doesn't seem to be doing that and fulfilling that. So it's a tough one, because like I said, 50% of the team, I'm like, yes, Arteta seems like he's got it right, he's got it down to a T, and then there's some I'm just like, well, why are these players not firing underneath you, Mikel Arteta? I don't understand why. I feel like if you was a good manager, a good man manager, you'd be able to get the best out of these players. So it's a 50-50, and it's becoming frustrating. But the Aubameyang one still doesn't sit right with me, but I don't think it will until I know the full ins and outs, which as a fan I probably don't think we'll get either. You've got a super chat there.
Yeah, Shoria says, surely Auba must have done something gravely wrong for him to be banished like this, otherwise he would have lost the dressing room immediately. Instead we started scoring more than we were before in December. Yeah, it's another great point. I think whatever's gone on here, the players clearly are at peace with the situation because they haven't down tools, and people might even point to January's form, but January for me wasn't a downing of tools, it was just a general lack of quality. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I look at this, and I think from everything we do kind of know, the bits that Arteta's given us, the bits Aubameyang's given us, there's very little from both sides. The way the players have performed and responded in terms of their work ethic and what they've given to the club, I just think it's a genuine just disagreement on the way things should go about, on the way both want to go about things, and the players are kind of like, not our problem, let them sort it out, what will be will be.
I really think, you see Arteta, right, he definitely has a way with words, James. That is one thing. He can sell, he must be able to sell a dream so well. Like I said, getting people to re-sign contracts, getting the likes, even partying that through the door was one thing. The way he he seems like the club is still backing him. They backed him financially, obviously, in the summer. They're looking like they're going to maybe offer him, obviously, keep him in the job if he doesn't even get, I don't know, what is it, sixth? I think we're going to go to that in the next section. Like, he definitely inspires people, gives them the belief that things are going to work. Whether he can actually execute that as a manager is one thing I have my question marks over. But the way he speaks things out, I think he's very good at persuading
he's a very good talker.
and getting people on side.
I'm not beyond the idea that I'm still very willing to learn about this whole situation more. Like I'm not kind of dead set on this is his fault or his fault.
No, it's same.
And this is an Arteta man management issue, or this is an Aubameyang discipline issue, or I'm not falling on one side or the other. All I care about is whatever comes of it, the team improves. That's really all I care about.
Here's a little spanner in the works, and this is me speculating. Do you think there's any way that Aubameyang wanted to, I don't know, want to push forward with Arsenal in the sense of had some ideas that would better the team or would progress them further on, like what's happened in the past? Robin van Persie did it, Fabregas wants to do it, and they ended up leaving. Do you think there's any sense of that? I know it's disciplinary issues that have been kind of pushed forward through the media and to us, but is there anything of him saying he want the club to progress potentially? And Arteta just was like, "Whoa, stay in your like this. I'm doing that." Was just
mad speculation?
Yeah.
Mad speculation.
I just wanted to hear your thoughts.
You just come up with a situation there.
I'm just.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's beyond experienced players to want to have a say, especially when you're the captain, maybe, and maybe that sparks debate. Maybe as a captain, you want to be more asked your thoughts and more. Yeah. You want to have more say. But I don't know. I have no idea how football clubs run.
Okay, interesting.
But, yeah.
No, I just thought I'd just get your thoughts on that. Okay, go on.
Yeah, let's move on because there was another bit of news yesterday regarding targets and actual targets or wherever we land or. But that's the big question, and that's why for the next 15 minutes we want to get your thoughts on this, guys, and get the thoughts of you, Cecil, and I'll try to give a bit of an opinion on this, but. If you read The Athletic, they often do Q&As. They've got journalists very in the know with certain stuff. And one of the questions being asked was whether Arteta basically would get a new contract if he, doesn't make top four. That's what a lot of people are talking about. There's all this news about a new contract potentially being offered to him. That's ahead of schedule. I believe his contract will run out at the end of next season. And whether he deserves it, two 8th place finishes, but I never really like saying that because I don't blame the first 8th place on him.
Season,
He won an FA Cup, so I think he did more than he could, really. More than we expected in that first season, won a trophy. Second season went badly. This season's going okay. He's in a race for top 4, and I think that's more than a lot of us expected us to be in. At the same time, when you look at some of the missed opportunities, you also feel like we could be doing better because Spurs, United haven't been at it, blah, blah, blah. So asked if Arsenal don't make top 4, does Arteta make it to next season? The response was that Arteta has a contract till 2023. It's generally more likely that he will be at Arsenal next season, especially if he takes the club back into Europe. A top 4 player. This is James McNicholas at The Athletic says. A top 4 place is up for grabs, but my impression is that Arsenal would consider a return to the Champions League for the 22-23 season as being ahead of schedule. A top 6 place would not only keep Arteta at the club, it would almost certainly mean a new contract. What's your thoughts on that? We've got some super chats coming in as well. We'll take that in a sec. But What's your feeling? So a top 6 place will not only keep him at the club, but it would sign him on for the long term. So that is what we're saying. That is what the board consider acceptable for this season. A top 6 finish.
It hurts me as an Arsenal fan, James, if I'm pretty honest, in the sense that just where we're at right now, it might just be overspill again from the worst January I think I've had as an Arsenal fan. But it's just the targets and the expectations of his club is just sinking and falling. But I don't even know how to kind of articulate how I feel about it.
So what makes you say that? Because we're saying if we don't get top 4 this season, but we get in the top 6, that's fine.
But no, not even that. Because I don't believe we'll get top 4 this season. And if I'm honest, if we did, I think we'll be. We've set ourselves up so well for failure in the sense that we didn't strengthen in January, we didn't build on it. And if we were to get top 4, then we'd be going into Champions League, and I think we wouldn't have the right calibre of players to survive in there. Yes, you have a summer window there, but I still don't think we'd be able to be the team I'd want to see from Arsenal at that point. So I understand they might not have expected us to be in in that top 4 race this quick, but going back to, like I said at the start of 2 seasons ago, last season, when they were speaking about Arsenal should be, like I said, the Vinay statement saying we should be challenging for the Champions Leagues, the Premier Leagues by the end of next season. That's the expectation. That's the goal for this club. So to say that Mikel Arteta is going to still be in a job even if we get 6th does pay me a little bit. I think if you get,
it's the position that Emery wasn't that far off when he lost his job. It was the position that Wenger finished in his final season for Arsenal. Why is it acceptable for Arteta?
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great argument, and I don't know. Maybe because, again, is Arteta the guy the Kroenkes can just use as a puppet potentially, and that could be the case, or are they just saying, do you know what, we're having a change of culture, and we want to keep a manager in the job role for a sustained period of time instead of just being like nowadays how football is, managers get sacked regularly chopping and changing. That could be another point to it as well. I don't really know, James. It hurts me.
Or I'll put you the other side, the club, and I know that 99% of people don't believe this is what they're doing. Or the club feel that there is a long there's a long game here. There's a we could get Champions League football this season, but maybe for them they're thinking, okay, let me put it this way, right? We talk about this young side. When I look at these young players like Saka, Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Lokonga, even Ben White and Gabriel to a degree. But let's talk about that 4, exciting 4 we've got. The 4 that are really carrying Arsenal at the moment. I don't think they're ready for Champions League football next season. I think they've got immense potential, and I think they belong on the biggest stage.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think they want to be there.
And I think we can, and I think in terms of their level, they can play, but can they week in, week out, at that level, deliver in the Premier League and Champions League? I don't think they're ready for that.
We struggled in the Europa League, James. And that was Arteta in his press. He said,
did we struggle in the Europa League, or were we just terrible over 2 legs against Villarreal?
No, but I'm not just pointing to that Villarreal game. I'm talking about when Arteta's coming out saying, listen, the fixture list is exhausting for these players. Thursday nights and going away to God knows where to then come back and then play. I'm talking about physical. Yeah, and that was the excuse. Then there's always an excuse for everything at this football club, and it's just tiring me out. I'm going to be honest. I'm sure people can probably see it through the screen. Like, there's always an excuse. There's the fixture list is too intense for us. There's we haven't got our play. Mikel Arteta has got his players. There's COVID. There's injuries. There's red cards. There's always an excuse to then set us back. I want to be back where Arsenal should be. But I think going back to what we just said there, I think that you have a great point there going to the Champions League. Those players may want to be there, and I'm sure as young players, everyone wants to be playing that, and they deserve to be. The likes of Saka, Emile Smith-Rowe, the Martinellis, they have the ability, but to sustain that against the best in Europe, and then go back in the Premier League and try and keep up a battle to stay in the conversation of top 4 next season, it's unlikely right now where this club is at right now.
I don't want things to be so binary. I don't want people to be saying, if we finish 6th, he gets a contract. If we finish 4th, he gets a contract. If he finishes 6th, that's not good. For me, it's not as simple as that. It's not. If you finish here, you do or you don't.
It's what have you done? What have you done?
I'll give you a great example, and I always go back to this example.
Go on.
Arsene Wenger finished 5th on 75 points. Mm-hmm. That Arsenal side, from what I remember, if I'm just trying to...
What year was that?
2016-17.
Right.
So finished 5th on 75 points. By the way, look through the years. I can't remember 75 points ever not getting you top 4. It usually gets you 3rd. I think it had got you 3rd the last couple years. So he finished 5th with that. He lost out to Antonio Conte, Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, and Pochettino and Spurs at their very best at that point. So... look at Spurs, right? They're over 2 seasons. They had the best points total over 2 seasons, and they didn't win the title. So context matters. Was that a bad Spurs team? Was that Do you get my point?
I hear your
I'm not
point.
trying to listen. Okay, let's not use the Spurs example, but so if Arsenal go this season, Arteta, we hit 35 points halfway through. So on 19 games, 35 points. We beat Norwich to get to the 35. So we were halfway through to halfway through the season. We hit the 70-point target. If you get what I'm saying. So if Arsenal, having already gone to the Etihad, gone to Anfield, gone to Old Trafford, gone to Leicester, if they improve a little bit on that last run and hit 72, 74, dare I say 75 points, but they finish 5th, do we really want Arteta gone?
Okay, I'm gonna.
And he plays good football. And the youngsters are buying into it.
So this is why the position can't just determine whether he keeps him in the job. And let me counter that. So you spoke about Arsene Wenger. You said, what was it, the 16-17 season? Is that what you said, yeah?
I think so.
So the 17.
When was I in Italy? I was living in Italy at that point.
So the 17-18 season, Arsene Wenger was probably one of the worst seasons I've seen at Arsenal Football Club, and we lost 13 matches that season.
Yeah, it was
bad, very bad. Got West Ham Wenger left.
We're on course for that. We're on.
Okay,
what were we on, 7?
Yep. And then last season, how many games did Arteta lose?
Was it 13?
13 games. So this is where I get frustrated as a fan, because I'm like, you know what? I hated that season. It pained me. I was like, this is Arsenal's the worst I've seen it. And then last season, that's what happened. We had 13 losses. And by the way, that season in the 17-18, when that Wenger's last season, we had more wins that season than we did last season. But I can buy into certain things that Arteta's brought to this club. The youngsters, whether it's by design or not, I can buy into them. I really, really do enjoy seeing the likes of Saka and Mill Smith-Rowe and the Martinez coming through. The style of play.
It's interesting, you know.
You've got it up there?
Well, I'm looking at the points totals. I think
it's there, isn't it? See it?
So under Wenger, in his final season, we finished on 63 points with Arteta on 61. Now that Arteta season was considered like our worst season ever.
Terrible.
Like, it was the worst season I remember as an Arsenal fan, comfortably.
There you go.
Listen, I don't know. Maybe this is a pointless discussion. But it's interesting.
It gives you an overlook, and guys can check that out as well. Like it's there in black and white. You can go check the losses and the wins and the draws and whatnot. But I remember the feeling. We're going to come to the super chats, but you can remember the feeling of. I can remember the feeling of that 17-18 season, and I remember the feeling of last season. I don't want to keep going through that, but again, I just spoke about. I have bought into things that Arteta's brought into this side. The signings, the youngsters coming through. There was style of play after that Everton game. We went on a run, and I enjoyed what I saw against Man City. I could see something I can buy into, the style of play from Arsenal. And there is a lot.
Yeah, let's go through his comments. But what he gives you, Arteta, can both be so exciting at times, but also so worrying.
Yeah.
You just kind of get both from him. Guys, let us know in the comments. So we're going to take these super chats and we'll round off there. Just let us know what your targets are. Do you think the targets have been set then? Have we been told 6th? And Arteta gets a new deal, and the process goes on. Let us know. You go to that super chat. I've got 2 more here.
So I've got show.
Oh, we've read that one. Don't worry. Let me go to Mark T. For me, I feel like this will keep going in the future. First Ozil, then Guendouzi. Next Pepe and Martinelli. Lack of game time now. Aubameyang, what's next? Hey, I will say Martinelli looks like he's been managed superbly. I mean, look at the performances that we're getting out of him now. Some might say he should have been playing before, but he's been immense. Shreth says maybe our squad needs a mental rebuild, fresh mindset, young, no big ego, toxic, lazy attitude. Maybe Arsenal wanted to get rid of players before adding new.
Smokey with super chat says, why is brother Cecil sweating you? Okay, question mark. I think the cameras are so sharp on this that my cream.
These cameras point out everything. Do you know how many times I watch back a video and go, am I that ugly? Do you know how many times I look, oh my god, like, is that me?
Yeah.
Mark T again. Yeah, the cameras are sharp though, and no, I'm not sweating. I think it's just literally my
I remember a line in Friends saying the camera adds £10, and I just keep having to tell myself that. I'm like, it must be. Please.
Mate, these are 6K, James. Like,
I love my local food here in North London. I can't.
These are 6K cameras. I didn't know it went up to 6K.
Is it 6K?
6K.
Right, you guys, your production team are doing us dirty. Right, let's round off. Mark T, this January transfer window will define our season. If we don't get top 4, too many players getting loaned out or sold, not ideal when we still have COV. Don't know what COV is. You got a super chat from Smokey.
Smokey says Wenger played more youth players. This isn't new. And then Gibby says Arteta, young and promising, needs to be treated like a good academy player. Young and promising. If you get rid of him, you run the risk of being stuck in a perpetual rebuild. Now, on this quickly, it is a good point, and I want to say, because I was doing fan cams not too long ago. It was around the time where Arteta there was whispers of him getting a 2-year extension, and people were losing their minds. Which granted, I understand where we're at right now. Actually, not where we're at right now. Sorry. It's a bit too soon to be offered a 2-year extension. However, give the man to the end of the season. They were losing. People were getting so angry. I think you should wait to the end of the season before you make that decision. But we are going to wait to the end of the season before, they're saying sick. But give him to the end of the season, see where we land, and then you can kind of decide your actual opinion on whether the manager should stay or not, in my opinion.
But then again, that for me comes down to, sure, but if the rest of the season starts spiraling out of control, we see more Burnleys, we see more of that, then you got to think, do we need to start maybe getting ahead of the game? The one thing Arsenal don't always do is be proactive.
But do you think it's right to get rid of him now then and bring some? I'm
not saying that.
Okay,
because we watch and we learn and we see and we make decisions as game goes on. Guys, that's been the latest Arsenal news. Obviously reacting to Aubameyang's short quotes and trying to put a little bit of truth behind what exactly he's saying. I don't think this was a dig. I don't think this was him coming out and having a pop. I think he was asked a question, I think he answered it, and I think he wanted to reassure the Arsenal fan base and the players he played with and everything that this isn't about you guys and the club.
With Aubameyang's character, do you think it eventually will come out? I know we're rounding up, but do you think it will come out either whether it's in the Amazon doc, a book from a player later on?
Yeah, we'll find out something.
I think there will be clarity on this situation at some point as well.
And then we got the Arteta news, which is that, looks like he'll probably be offered a new deal even if he gets sick. That will be considered on schedule. So let's see what happens, guys. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We're going to be doing more news shows across next week as well as we start getting excited for football. We can actually watch football again.
Finally,
we've got Wolves away. Lots of stuff to come out. We've got a special super fan debate coming out on the Monday, or coming out on the Tuesday. So look forward to that. It's a top 4 race special. And then coming out later today, a little video on how Aubameyang will be remembered. We've asked the fans what they think. Let us know in the comment section what you think as well. We're going to round off there. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.
Peace.